to make the pass, whether it's a bounce pass, whether it's a lob pass. He makes goals.
Good players. You could have just said good players.
I'm sorry, Cody.
Yeah, good player. Like Steph Curry,
Let me
for
hold that
instance.
thought.
Hold that thought. You know what? We'll get back to that.
How much of an impact has that made on this series? And just, again, his game in general, I mean, where would you put it as far as just all-time games from him?
I mean, I don't know about all-time games. He's had a lot of them to pick from, but in terms of just his aggression on both ends of the floor, his decisiveness, like you said, there's not a lot of big guys that can stay in front of him full steam ahead in transition, and push the defense on their heels. And then on top of that, he's making so many plays on the defensive end. So. A lot's been said about his game as of late, and he's continued to take it up a notch. And that's what the playoffs are all about. And he shines bright in those type of moments. So, and he does it his way, and it's awesome to see.
Steph, Mark Medina, Bay Area News Group. To build off the stuff you talked about Draymond's game, what leadership qualities does he have that helps get everyone else going?
I mean, it's like he's got like 8 eyeballs. He sees everything and kind of knows what to say at the right time. Watched him talk to JB after the missed dunk and kept him engaged, talking to Coach about some certain play calls and reads, even going into the game talking about different defensive strategies and whatnot. So he's just observant of everything and has just a high basketball IQ. And that's just, obviously his experience, but the fact that he's so versatile, he can do a lot of different stuff and knows how to help a team win.
All the way in the back, please.
Steph, Andrew Hopner, KZI 9 News. It seems like it's pretty well known that this team goes on these big third quarter runs. Draymond sat up here and said 13 points is a 2-minute stretch for us. Do you guys almost have that expectation now that even if you're down 10, 13, 15, that third quarter run is inevitable at certain points?
I mean, I wouldn't call it inevitable in terms of this is the NBA. There's talented guys on both sides of the floor, and it's kind of a tricky conversation because you don't want to be in that situation over and over again. But we understand basketball, it's a 48-minute game, and, teams have talent. They come out, especially playing with desperation in a situation like this, down 2-0, give us their best shot. And after the first quarter, we're down 2, having not really played well. Down 13 when they gave us a really strong punch in that second quarter. But there's no panic or, in the locker room, we keep our composure. We talk about certain adjustments, and our energy and our effort in the third quarter, whether you make or miss shots, you can live with that. So last 2 games has been big. We pretty much won the game in the third quarter, coming back and giving ourselves a chance. And game 4, we be all right, hopefully, with the lead and be able to play like that, too.
In the middle, please.
Colin Ward-Henninger, CBSSports.com. Steph, you had the big win against Houston. You now have the back-to-back second-half comebacks, and this one in Portland. Do you think that the toughness of this team over the last few years has been underrated because of the style that you guys play?
I mean, you don't win without that competitiveness and that killer instinct and just finding different ways to win games and different styles. And tonight, and as of late, obviously with KD out, it's those other, I call them the other guys, but, they know who they are, that step foot on the floor and play with confidence. Quinn was tremendous in that first, 4 to 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, decisive, getting to his spots, making plays. JB all night stepping up. Zoe, Alonzo hit a big shot in the corner, hit a big 3 for us. So everybody, when they step foot on the floor, know they can help us play. And we got to play that way, shorthanded and doing it by committee and having each other's back. So it requires a certain amount of toughness to do that for sure.
Jamal Corner, Reuters. Steph, given kind of the degree of difficulty of the last couple games, the comebacks, kind of not to mention, the underdog status, if you will, that you guys have kind of taken on since Kevin's injury, does that make these last few victories just that much more satisfying?
I don't know. we've been in this situation before, chasing the finals appearance, and it's kind of hard to separate all the different narratives. It's just about winning and doing whatever it takes to win. So we're gonna keep that same mentality no matter what's thrown at us. And again, we're one win away from 5th straight finals. Like, a lot goes into that, and you can spend all day talking about all the different storylines. It's just you got to win games and figure it out.
On the right side, please.
Steph, Tom Ward, Coin TV. You mentioned a desperate team, and that's what Portland will be on Monday. How much of a priority will it be within your guys' huddle to, close this series out and not give them any semblance of having a shot in this series?
The mentality stays the same. In this building, we know they're going to come out, like you said, and play. Just come out swinging with nothing to lose. We got to be able to have energy and smarts, to start the game and hopefully win that first quarter to create momentum. But closeout games are always tough, no matter what the series is. And again, they have nothing to lose at this point, so they're going to be playing with like their reckless abandonment. We got to be able to take that punch and go right back at them with our keys in mind of how we've been playing defense, especially on their 2 main guys that create so much offense for them. So it's going to be fun.
Steph, 2 things about Draymond. Mark Schwartz, ESPN. First of all, he dropped like 20 pounds in the last couple of months of the regular season. What kind of impact do you think that might have made on his performances now? And secondly, Steve brought up that he's not bothered by anything, including the officiating, and he just said that, he was doing more crying than playing. How much do you appreciate the fact that he's not really getting involved with the refs and that he's really focused on what's happening on the court?
I mean, that's huge in terms of just keeping the focus on what we can control, and that's how we're playing. Calls are going to go a certain way, and you can waste energy all you want talking to the refs. I've never in the history of the league seen somebody or a ref change a call because somebody was arguing it. So it's just a matter of understanding the moment and what it takes to win at this level and be consistent. So whether it's taking care of your body and, like you said, the transformation you made during the season where you can play 38 minutes at that pace on both ends of the floor and be as strong in the first quarter as he is, or in the fourth quarter as he is, to start the game, and just the way that he keeps attacking. So he understands, like, again, what he needs to do, just like every great NBA player, showing up with the right mentality, the right focus, and the right edge, and again, controlling what you can control. So it's been nice knowing the first round everybody was talking about how many texts he had and whether the suspension situation was going to happen, and he's done an amazing job blocking all that out and just playing basketball. Respect.
Steph Curry, after a 36-point night, believe it or not, this is the first time in his playoff career he has strung together 3 games of at least 35 points or more.
Wow.
Surprised by that.
Very, very impressive.
I was surprised by that. Game 4 happens on Monday night. Portland Trailblazers have a chance to extend their season, if nothing else, and potentially have a chance to become the first to come back from an 0-3 deficit. What's step 1? What's got to happen just to get 1 win on the board and keep this thing moving?
Step 1 is to come out with great energy, which they have done in the first half, but they need to come out with that in the third quarter. If they do get a lead, they have to be able to hold that lead. Some of these guys are going to have to get hot from behind the 3-point line. Whether we're talking about Aminu, Harkless. And if those guys aren't hitting shots, maybe you go with Rodney Hood early and play him a heavier minutes than you've been playing him in this series. But you have to give Dame and CJ more space to operate. And right now, Golden State has no fear of the Portland role players. So maybe we could see a slight lineup change where we see Rodney Hood get some more minutes.
Hood got off just 3 shots in Game 3.
I think if there's one thing I would pick out off of tonight's game, it's what adjustments will Terry Stotts and his staff make in handling the double teams on Damian Lillard. What are they going to do once he gives the ball up? Maybe they need to come up and go a little quicker to force the double team quicker to then have more time on the back end of the shot clock to make the second or third pass. They have to
Get the ball swinging.
They have to
somehow,
come up with a way, and by starting it quicker, sooner you leave yourself more time at the back end of the shot clock.
Coach, do you like this idea? Instead of setting the screen as much with the bigs, set the screen with guys that are playmakers. Set the screen with somebody they probably won't trap with. So maybe Dame and CJ set a screen for each other so you get the switch. Now you get Steph guarding one of those guys with the ball, and now you're able to take him off the dribble. Kind of similar to how Houston tried to take advantage of him. Also setting the screen with somebody like Evan Turner. He's more of a playmaker.
He's a playmaker, yeah.
He's more of a playmaker with the ball in his hands. I think that's also an adjustment. Set screens with playmakers so you can either get the ball in Evan Turner's hands and he can get downhill, or you can create a switch and take advantage of Steph Curry, and hopefully taking advantage of Steph on the offensive end. Well, I mean, on the defensive end will lead to Steph playing a little bit worse offensively.
Sounds like a play that a Cleveland team I remember ran a few years ago.
Hey, listen, it's straight out of Tyronn Lue's playbook now. And he should have got that Laker job.
Are you giving the Blazers a chance to win Game 4, let alone the series, Game 4?
I would think the nature of this team is one that has not given up. When they lost their big man, all year I kept saying they're going to fall out of that 3 seed. They'll eventually wind up 5 or 6, and they didn't. They hung around there the whole time, even when they had the very serious injury. Then they're going to beat the number 2 seed Denver to knock them out, a difficult OKC team. I just think they have too much pride to go down 4 straight. But the other team's pretty darn good.
Pretty darn good. History certainly on the Warriors side at this point. Teams with a 3-0 lead in the best of 7.
Hey, Coach.
135-0.
Coach, you still got that broom underneath the table?
You want me to bring that now?
You got the broom? Go ahead.
I'm not
He's been
ready
looking
to
for a
use it
broom
yet.
for about an hour now.
Nicole, you got a broom over there?